Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Makers Experts Cafe. I'm your host, Dr. L, the Parent Whisperer, and today with me, I have an amazing lady. She's been part of our community before. She's actually spoken on our summits, and she actually talks about something that is really important. So please stop multitasking, tune in, and kind of be 100% here. It is my pleasure to introduce to you guys Miss Marcy Neumann. Marcy is an amazing lady, and what I want to do, Marcy, is can you tell our audience members a little bit more about what you do and why you do what you do?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with everyone. So I am known as the HeartShift Coach, and heart shifting is actually a process that I've created in the 50 years that I have been working with people, helping them to heal their hearts. And it started actually back professionally in the early 70s, excuse me, both as a registered nurse and a spiritualist minister. And so my entire professional career has been as a liaison between the world of, you might say, conventional thought and more of a metaphysical approach to living and to healing. And so throughout all the years, I have had the privilege of working with so many different types of people and also to develop programs where I can help them, support them in really living life the way I believe we're meant to live. And that's being happy and healthy and being the greatest expression of ourselves. And so in the past 25 years, and it makes me like crazy to even think about that.
When you said 50, I'm like, you must have started when you were like three, because I can't see
It's
that.
the most amazing thing when I think about it. Yeah, this is my 50th year. I graduated from nursing school and was ordained as a spiritualist minister in 1974. So it was, as I was saying, in the last 25 years, I've been focusing on helping people to learn how to truly love themselves and loving themselves for the purpose of being able to step outside of the programming and conditioning that most of us receive as children and really step into being an authentic expression of themselves. And what I have found is that that is the key to being happy. When you have stepped outside of trying to appease everyone else and live up to standards that are not even relevant to you and expectations of others and can really just truly reveal to the world who you are, you're happy and miraculously healthy. And what we know is that being healthy is not just a physical aspect of living. It has to do truly with the connection between body, mind, and spirit. And from my perspective, self-love is all about coming into alignment with our true nature, our spirit. And so I've just been privileged, as I said, to work with so many types of people, adults, children, parents, childless adults. I mean, the whole gamut. And when we come to this place of learning how to live in a very heart-centered way, letting the heart to direct and lead us, it's almost as if the universe lays itself at our feet. It's absolutely amazing, and that's what I want to share with everyone.
So you're truly a visionary because when you look at what, especially our youth, and I don't think it's just youth, I think it's throughout the society, what
Yeah.
everybody's suffering when they talk about depression and suicide and all of the unhealthy things that you're seeing, a lot of it kind of seems to come back to what you're describing
Yep.
here. So, what are some of the challenges and issues that you see show up at your doorstep?
So
Like,
if
what
we
are the
want,
manifestations when we don't have this happen?
yeah. So, I mean, I've seen everything from severe mental and emotional illness to physical illness, and I've experienced it myself. And so I know firsthand what it feels like to finally be free of that. And the truth is that, you know, like anyone else, and I think that, again, we're conditioned to believe certain things. For instance, aging. right? We're conditioned to believe you reach a certain age and everything just goes downhill, and you can forget about doing the things that you did when you were younger. It's not true. When I had this sudden realization that I was being called to live my life differently, to follow my heart and really just set myself free, I experienced the most miraculous things. I used to have constant digestive issues, migraines. I couldn't leave my house without Advil, without Tums, etc. I had recurrent nightmares. I was in this state of almost a bit like paralysis in a lot of ways. My body systems were shutting down. I remember I'd be out to dinner and enjoying this wonderful leisurely dinner, and I'd get up to, get out of my seat, and I wouldn't be able to. I would have to hoist myself up on the table. And what happened one day was, after I had made dramatic changes in my life, I remember I was sitting at my desk one day, the doorbell rang, I hopped up, I went to answer the door, and all of a sudden I just felt from the top of my head to the tips of my toes that I just was in this different energy field. And I realized, oh my Lord, I just jumped up out of my seat, no problems with my hips. And when I thought about it, I hadn't had a migraine or taken a Tums or had a nightmare in 6 months, nothing. And I'm happy to say none of that has returned. And so what it tells me is that by following my heart, I had truly allowed myself to love myself in a way that I'd never allowed myself to before. And it's different for everyone because we're all somewhat confined. I actually say we're imprisoned a lot in our lives, trying to conform to whatever expectations that are upon us that are not in alignment with our own truth. And it's that prison, I believe, that each of us is obligated to find. And so that's a lot of the work that I do, is helping people to find where that confinement is. And then, of course, what it requires is always a cultivation of courage. We have to be courageous because it'll always require that we let things go that are no longer serving us, and that we open ourselves to the possibilities that are waiting for us. And so I have found that this approach is the same for adults and for children. And so, a lot of times, children are so frustrated, they act out a lot. And like you said, depression is up in our children. The statistics are staggering. And they've lost so much of their ability to be innocent the way that they are meant to be, and how precious that innocence is, both energetically and from the standpoint of what we get then to remember when we are with them, right? Their curiosity and their willingness to really just let themselves totally be in the now in order to experience something. So we need them to come back to their true nature and give them permission to be all of those things. And then as parents, as adults, we have them to model for us really what we need to regain. This is giving ourselves permission to explore, to be curious, and of course, like I said, to just discover things that have been waiting within us to be revealed. We are all here in a very unique expression of what I say is, the expression of love, the expression of the God within us. And so as we give ourselves permission to explore that and be that, everything changes. And I've been so blessed that I've just had this incredible opportunity to bear witness to this in people's lives all around the world. We're all the same. The journey is the same. The journey is always about coming back to our hearts and loving ourselves for who we truly are. It is really miraculous to see this happen and for myself to have experienced it.
Marcy, you bring up a really important point about being truly who we are, and my thought goes to a lot of moms that are giving of themselves, wearing many different hats. At a moment, they're a wife, at a moment, they're a mom, at a moment, they have to cater to career, and then there's family,
Yeah.
and all these different things, right? So people can lose themselves wearing all of these different hats. So, what are some of the tips and challenges, tips and suggestions that you have for audience members, for parents, not only to role model the behavior for their kids, but also to bring that out in the kids themselves to make sure that we cultivate that from early on in the kids, that they need to stay true to themselves.
Yeah, it's such a great question. And again, it's different for everyone because uh, we all come to who we are now through different experiences, and some have been very traumatized, some have been disillusioned, I mean, disappointed. I mean, there are all kinds of different influences. However, I think you really hit the nail on the head, and that is that when we decide that we're going to live life consciously, that we're going to be aware of who we are, number one, within ourselves, number two, within our families, number three, within our communities, number four, and that's how it needs to go until we're really recognizing our impact on the entire world. But it has to start within the self. And so being a role model under those circumstances is one where we step into that introspection. Then we teach our children how important that is, not from a point of beating ourselves up because we believe we didn't show up in the best way that we should have, but rather we ask ourselves questions about, well, who am I now? And what do I want for myself in the future? I believe that it's always in the now where we get the information that we need. If we spend, years and years and years trying to dig up everything from the past, that's where our focus is. It's where our energy is. And so what I've come to understand is that in this development of a self-love lifestyle, what we are actually doing is journeying into being and living as the true self. That true self is one that is a creator. We are here as creators. And so the closer that we get to loving ourselves, of course, modeling that for our children, remembering to emphasize what would a life as a creator look like as opposed to a life of someone who's just a reactor. What is the difference between those two lives? And then we start to model ourselves after that. What do I want to create? When we can come to our children and give them permission to use all of the incredible characteristics and traits that they come to this earth with, and to just create, 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 they will never lose sight of the joy of creating, of the joy of discovery, the joy of expressing themselves, the joy. In other words, they won't experience what we have experienced in many of our childhoods. We won't experience being diminished. We won't experience being almost, being asked to stay in a contracted state just to make everybody else more comfortable and happy. When we give ourselves permission to do that, to be our most expansive and expressive self, we automatically give permission to all those around us. And we no longer have to diminish ourselves. We no longer have to shrink down. And it's as I said before, it's nothing short of miraculous. And everything in our lives just boom, 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 boom. All of that energy just fans out into every dimension of our lives. And again, we start to just be able to be present as we truly are. And that, I believe, is as a creator.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you. Now, how can people find out more about you? Because I know this is something that does require work, especially if you haven't been honest and true with yourself for a long time and been doing everybody else's deeds and people pleasing and all the other stuff that goes
Yep.
with this. So how can people find out more about you, connect with you, work with you?
So my best website for that is Marcy Neumann, NEUMANN.com. I also have selfloveuniversity.com, which is loaded with all kinds of products and programs and free things. And Marcy at HeartShiftCoach.com. So it's MarcyNeumann. And yeah, I think we have this incredible opportunity, and you're so much a part of it, bringing all of this to light. And I want to thank you for it. And just to remember that, as we model this self-compassion and ability to continue to just be that most expressive and expansive self, we're going to be living in a very different world in a very short amount of time.
Guys, Marcy is a wealth of knowledge, and she has given me one of the most expensive resource lists that you could imagine. So I'm going to urge all of you to take a moment, go to the description box of this video below, and open that up. There are tons and tons of resources for you guys, and you can see how deep the rabbit hole goes. Personal development is an amazing thing. But Marcy has the resources for you guys. I definitely encourage you guys to role model the behavior to the kids
Yes.
that you don't have to have all the answers and it's okay to ask for help. And this world is not a scary place, that there are good people like Marcy that want to make this world a better place. And we all need to connect. And connecting is an art in itself that we need to show them on a regular basis. And speaking of connecting, if you haven't already done so, make sure that you click like and subscribe to our channel so you get notified of all the experts that come on our shows sharing their expertise and gifts with you. Marcy, before we finish today, any final words of wisdom for our audience members? There's been so many already, so awesome.
I think it's just every single day, give yourself permission to be different than you were the day before. And actually, sometimes that, goes hour by hour. That courage that I spoke of is something that we really need to tend to, because it is a requirement. It's a prerequisite for this self-love journey, but you don't need to have it all. You just need to say yes when you're being invited to come forward. Yeah.
I need to set that on my watch like every hour, like reminding me that that is
Yeah.
really good to be in the moment. So
Be in the
very good.
moment.
Thank you guys. And thank you, Marcy. Until next time.
Thank
Cheers.
you, Dr. L. Bye-bye, everyone.